ये वाला औकात से बाहर है।
अरे वाह,
एक बार
कितने में आता है?
ये आता 2300
ये
2300
2300 का सब महंगा हो गया ना आजकल।
सबकी वैल्यू बोलेंगे बोलेंगे।
रिंग लाइट से भी महंगा है।
हाँ
रिंग लाइट से
अभी
भी महंगा
अभी 2900 हो गया वो
कितने का?
29
क्यों?
वैल्यू है मार्केट में
मार्केट में डिमांड हो गया सर।
जैसे आपकी डिमांड है
Bhuvan, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, with that, moving on, may I also please invite on stage Kanchan Mishra, and I'm pretty sure you know the lady very well by now. Let's give it up for Kanchan Mishra. Request you to kindly surround this big box because that's where the spotlight is and the stage is all yours. If you need a mic, go for it.
The Man Company has been amazing partners with Flipkart in our journey to innovate for men's grooming. And I'm very excited about the Bhuvan Bam range. In Bhuvan's own word, I'm sure the product is going to be very relatable and popular in men. So congratulations on the launch. All the best.
Okay, all right. Well, with that, now that we've shifted gears into the very next segment, which is the product launch, ladies and gentlemen, as we get to the next one, I have to tell you all that Kajal Agarwal will be joining us. And moving on, we've got Meghna Parao, Director, Facebook, E-commerce and Retail, joining us on stage. Please give her a huge round of applause. And may I also please invite our moderator for the discussion. It's Kanchan Mishra, Senior Director of FMCG, Home and General Merchandise at Flipkart. Well, see you soon. Enjoy the discussion.
Panelists with us here today. My first question to you, Sukleen. Good Glam Group is unique in having brands as well as content platforms under one umbrella. What role do you see content platforms and content commerce play in building brands?
I think today, if you look at everyone around us, all of us are making purchase decisions either by choosing a product that we read about or by selecting a product that we try based on our e-com purchase. So if digital is becoming ubiquitous, it's impossible to make a choice for a brand without having an authentic recommendation, which is where the role of influencers come in. Influencers give you their unbiased perspective, their own experience of the product. They make the product story come alive to you. So for brands, that authentic conversation comes alive with the influencers. So creator world becomes highly relevant. The second important pivoting leg is content. Now, content is not what brands want to say. Content is what viewers want to read. And in that realm, when people are putting out their stories, if brands can be woven in, that's a very organic way of seeding a brand. So for us as a company, our vision is very straightforward. How do we actually create a very authentic consumer journey where we can marry content, creator, and commerce? And the fourth vertical that we've just recently launched is communities, where we can also give consumers a chance to experience the products through very intimate relationships in offline settings. So it could be either on offline or via WhatsApp, but get a deeper engagement with consumers one-to-one. So in that context, it becomes extremely pivotal, especially for brands that are born on digital.
Thank you for that. And you're right. In Flipkart's small journey of live commerces and influencer-led commerce that we've done, we have seen over millions of customers engaging, a lot of them coming in from Tier 2 plus, largely seeking the trust and the connect that you're talking about. Meghna, you're an influencer in your own right. Given your experiences, how do you see content commerce evolving globally? And how do you see India catching up to the trends, or does India behave uniquely?
Firstly, I think the influencer tag goes to someone else here. I'm only busy working with the influencers and learning from them. But on that note, I think India, the one word I'll say is Reels. And I think we can't think of this entire ecosystem without Reels in it. And one very interesting fact to say that India is truly at the leading edge of trends is in the world of Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram. Reels was India was amongst the first countries where we launched Reels as a global company. Yeah, and today it's just taken it over completely. We see almost 24% of time increased where people spend time on Instagram since the launch of Reels. And even more importantly, when you connect it to commerce, in India, about 80% people say that they have seen a product on a reel and then engaged with that business. Almost 77% of them say they've bought something because they've actually seen a reel. And the other very cool thing is it's not just passive consumption of content. So on Reels, engagement is very, very high. So just internationally, about 2 billion Reels have been shared. And in India, about 97% of the people that we did a survey with say that they have themselves shared a reel. So I think that's the really, really nice part about content, where it's not just one way, passive, I see it and that's it, but actually see it, experience it, and use it to make a purchase. And their creators have such an important role to play. So influencers, creators, we call them creators. And that's the other side to it, where India's on a fast path to be definitely the #1 country in terms of number of creators on Meta platforms. So I would say the number is almost like 100 million creators exist today in the country and very, very fast growing. So it's a beautiful synergy across that ecosystem.
Very interesting. 100 million creators. Wow. And you do see the impact. I mean, for a commerce platform like ours, customers who engage with real content, for example, are a lot more engaged, a lot more high on retention, higher basket size, lower returns. Just the quality of customer goes up many folds because of the trust that they build. Bhuvan, 26 million subscribers on your channel, 70 million followers on Insta. Wow. Tips for brands and influencers here. How do you make engaging content? And how do you make content that's relevant? What do consumers look for?
First of all, a very good evening to all of you. यार content engaging कैसे बनता है? I go with this personal thing which is gut feeling. I'm sure यहाँ जितने भी लोग हैं उन्होंने अपनी लाइफ के मेजर डिसीजंस जो हैं, बड़े डिसीजंस हैं, वो गट से लिए अपने, कि मेरा गट कहता है कि ऐसा होना चाहिए, वैसा होना चाहिए. When I started, I knew that if I want to penetrate the masses, if I want to enter each and every building of this country, I need to make my content relatable. ये relatable, I know एक बहुत ऐसा word है जो बहुत overuse हो गया है, हर कोई बोलता है कि relatable बनाना है, but मेरे साथ actually 8 साल पहले, अभी 5 दिन में 8 साल हो जाएंगे बीबी की वाइन्स को, और मैं यही सोचता हूँ कि why has it worked for me in these 7 years? It's because relatability. I know that I've seen people in my DMs, on mails, or when I meet them in person, they tell me कि वो जो समीर, बनछोड़दास और भुवन की जो बातें हो रही थी ना कल परसों के वीडियो में, वो हमारे साथ हो चुकी है. So that's why it's a responsibility on me that whatever I say, I have to make it relatable so that people feel, okay, he's a part of us. And I feel similarly, thanks to the Man Company, हम लोगों ने जो भी किया है साथ में, आप पहली चीज़ तो ये, आप किस तरह कंटेंट, क्या कंटेंट लोगों को दिखाते हो वो तो एक बात है, लेकिन आप किस तरह उसको प्लेटर पे सर्व करते हो, it's a art in itself. And I think the Man Company has played a really good part in that, क्योंकि लोगों को इतना accessible feel होता है. मैं अगर अपने केस में बोलूँ तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा accessible feel है कि हाँ ये एक प्रीमियम प्रोडक्ट भी है, लेकिन जिस तरह प्रमोशन किया गया है, जिस तरह लोगों तक एक बात पहुंचाई गई है, वो बहुत हर महीने में रिलेटेबल है. एंड आई थिंक इट हैज़ वर्कड रियली वेल फॉर द मैन कंपनी एंड मी एज वेल.
Thank you on that. I will not stand a lot between the rest of the event. Just closing remarks from all of you, and we'll take turns. How do you see the role of content commerce, content platform, commerce platforms, and influencers evolving in the era that India is entering in terms of retail and commerce?
So I think when you think of content, you definitely think of platforms like Meta, because for all influencers and creators, that's the home. It allows them to really reach and engage their audiences. Yeah, all the stats that you said that Bhuvan has, those fantastic stats. So I think we see ourselves as the place where you can place the content. It's where you're able to engage and reach those audiences. And we want to enable and help folks like brands like Glam or marketplaces like Flipkart to be that place where you're able to connect both those things. Fantastic content from creators, and you folks can do the commerce. And we are just that enabler, bringing everyone together. I think that's the big role we play. The other thing we see is that to play with this medium, जैसे आपने बोला था, you want to make content relatable, I think it's that same space that how do we take it to brands, and how do you bring the right messages to consumers. So we've actually created this program called Made on Reels, and we publicize that program and use that to bring both these ecosystems together, which is the creators and the brands, so that it's a journey that we are all learning every day, all the time. We also work with really small creators, and almost 500,000 creators across the country are on a program with us, where we keep telling them and teaching them the tips and tricks, and similarly take the voices of brands like yourself to them in terms of saying, how can we do more of this and how can we do it better? So that's the role that we want to see ourselves play in content and commerce and bridging that.
Clean?
I think if I look at the larger ecosystem, I think one of the things which Bhuvan said is very correct, which is people want to hear the real story. You know, beyond a point, nobody wants to be just told brands preaching. They want to hear from real people, their real experiences. So I think in times to come, for sure, creator economy will thrive. And I think if we look at a country like ours, India loves brands. We love buying everything that is branded. So in that context, brands and new brands will thrive even more. I mean, if you look at the young people around yourself, nobody wants to wear the brands their moms were wearing. So clearly, brands are here to stay. And if you look at the content platforms on the other side, now those are platforms which are not pushing an agenda. They have a very loyal audience who likes reading their content which is relatable for them. So if you look at content on a Scoop Whoop, it's all the funky men who want to read about stuff which is specific to men and their kind of conversations. Parenting portals, women's lifestyle portals. So fundamentally, it's fostering people to come together and share views and influence each other in a non-branded, non-manufacturer way. So I think in that context, this economy is going to thrive. The important thing really is to do it in a manner that is subtle. Because the moment you become too overt and you really start pushing your agenda, people see through it. And they see through bullshit very fast. So I think in that regard, we just also have to be mindful to do it in a manner that you respect consumers and respect their privacy.
Bhuvan.
आई एग्री विथ यू मतलब गए वो दिन जब पेड एडवर्टाइजमेंट से कुछ ज़्यादा खास फर्क पड़ता था. अभी तो आई फील कितना ऑर्गेनिक हो गया. मेरे को याद है अभी मैं लास्ट वीक बाथरूम टाल ले रहा था और कभी नहीं ऑनलाइन मैंने ऐसी चीज़ें ली. हमेशा आप जाके फैब्रिक चेक करते हो तो सबसे पहले नेचुरली क्या करेगा आदमी. मैं गया, मैंने पहले रिव्यूज़ देखे. मैं फ्लिपकार्ट पे जाके मैंने रिव्यूज़ पढ़े और रिव्यूज़ में वो टावल के बारे में लिखा था कि हाँ जी इसका फैब्रिक ऐसा है, ये पहले वॉश के बाद ऐसा हो जाता है. सो यू बिलीव इन दैट क्योंकि आपको पता है कि आप जैसा कोई स्क्रीन के उस तरफ कहीं कंट्री में बैठा है जिसने बोला है हाँ ये लेना चाहिए. सो आई फील उसको ऑर्गेनिक बनाना जैसा आपने बोला इट्स सो इम्पॉर्टेंट. मैं अगर अपना एग्जाम्पल दूँ तो आई वॉज ऑनर्ड दैट द मैन कंपनी के साथ वी लॉन्च्ड आवर सिग्नेचर सीरीज लिमिटलेस एंड इनफाइनाइट. और हमने यही म्यूचुअली डिस्कस किया कि इसको बेचेंगे नहीं, बोलेंगे नहीं कि ये ले लो, ये बढ़िया है, ये ऐसा है वैसा है. मैं क्या करता हूँ, मेरे को मज़ा आता है. इंस्टाग्राम पे मैं लाइव जाता हूँ और मैं जो भी कॉलर सबसे पहले आएगा मैं उसको लाइव अपने साथ ले लेता हूँ. एंड देन वो स्प्लिट विंडो नहीं होता जिसमें यू कैन टॉक टू देम. सो दैट वर्कड अ लॉट फॉर अस क्योंकि उसके अंदर मैंने उनको समझाया कि लुक दिस हैज़ वर्कड रियली वेल फॉर मी. मतलब अगर तुम लोगे, तुम बोलोगे तो मैं भिजवा दूंगा. अगर तुम इसको यूज़ करोगे तो प्रॉमिस करो कि आगे तुम 10 लोगों को बोलोगे कि ये इट वर्क्स. सो आई फील दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ये अब समझ गए ना हम लोग भी कि क्या क्या बोलने पे क्या लेना चाहिए. और जब तक आपके पास फर्स्ट हैंड एविडेंस नहीं है किसी और का बोला हुआ कि ये रिव्यू इसका अच्छा है ख़राब है, आई थिंक हम लोग इतना ईजीली डिसीजन लेते नहीं. सो आई थिंक वो ऑर्गेनिक रहना हर चीज़ अब तो नीडलेस है ये बोलना, बट इट्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
You are so right. On Flipkart as well, we see the power of user-generated content is huge. Over 80% of our sales actually happen of products that are rated very, very highly by our users. And that is what customers relate to. And I echo what all of you have said, really. Content commerce is here to stay. When platforms like Meta, brands like Glam, and influencers like Bhuvan come together with Flipkart, we have seen magic happen. In an hour, we've seen sales spike by 30 times over, and that's when all of us are just starting to scratch the surface. So kudos to all the influencers out here, and the journey for all of us has just begun. I'm sure that we have a lot of excitement ahead of us. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much.
Kanchan.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for them. And I have to tell you, there's a big takeaway for me myself. I think Bhuvan Baum and all our panelists have spoken about how to be creative, how to be relatable, and more importantly, gone are the days when you really push your content, is because people out there are very, very smart. I have been a part of that selfie already. Come on, let's give them a round of applause. I'm sure there were a lot of takeaways for all of us. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Bhuvan. Well then.
भुवन भाई इधर.
Friends of the media, please join us just at the Grand Relay. The Man Cafe by Bhuvan Baum. Please, friends of the media, join us here. The most awaited moment with a handsome hug.
थांबा ना भाई, एक बार औकात से मार. अरे भाई इधर भाई रुको. भाई ये वाला. भाई ये वाला. भाई ये वाला औकात से मार. एक बार. कितने में आता है? क्या आता 2300 का. सब महंगा हो गया ना आजकल. बोलेंगे. रिंग लाइट से भी महंगा है. हाँ. रिंग लाइट से भी महंगा.
अभी 29 हो गया वो.
कितने का?
29.
क्यों?
वैल्यू है
मार्केट में डिमांड हो गया सर.
जैसे आपकी डिमांड है.
लेकिन बोलोगे नहीं जो बोलता है.
ना बोलोगे तो भाई ये तो जैसे आपकी है. वैल्यू है जैसे आपकी फिश आपको बोलो क्या अरे कौन भाई इधर अरे क्या नाम है इसका? टीटू मामा अरे हाँ वो हमारे भुवन सर चलो बंद